We are not in Miami. Where are we, Lo?
We are in Cleveland, and we are here happily to be joined by, we are at the Lee Park Heritage Museum, and we are joined by Ricardo Rodriguez, who is the museum director. He has given us an amazing tour, which we will be showing you guys all the amazing things that we saw. And so, Ricardo, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having me on your show. We're here at the Baseball Heritage Museum at Lee Park, and it's an honor to be on your podcast. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to be here. You know, this is our first non-Miami show. I can breathe better. I mean, the air quality, it just, we're higher. This is Ohio's beautiful.
It is.
Just as sunny as Miami, right?
It
Just
is, and I'm not sweating getting out of the car, so this is excellent. No, we're really excited to be here. So tell us, what is this place? Tell our viewers where. Obviously, we're in Cleveland, but what is this place?
So the Baseball Heritage Museum at Lee Park is a museum that celebrates and highlights the underrepresented historical actors in baseball. Not necessarily on the field, but also off the field. We focus on the stories of the people that had influence on the game, special connections with the game, again, on and off the field. If you're looking for baseball stats, who hit the most home runs when it was, on the Tuesday when the sun was, that's not us. That's not what we do. There's other
Google.
Yeah, there's other organizations that do that. We focus on the stories and how the people that are involved in those stories relate to the game that we all love, baseball.
Yeah. And speaking of stories, if these walls could talk, I mean, we are right now, and we're going to edit it so we can have footage of us all. But right now, can you explain some words?
Sure. So the Baseball Heritage Museum is located in the historic Ticket House of Lee Park, built in 1909, opened in 1910. The Ticket House funneled people into Lee Park. What's important about the Ticket House, in my point of view, is regardless of age, socioeconomic background, gender, race, everybody that came through those doors were coming here for the same reason. So, besides the segregation and the challenges in integration in baseball, baseball is a unifier. It's a great unifier. People love it. Even if you hate the game, I almost guarantee that you have a story relating to the game, whether it be, my father used to drag me to the ballpark every Sunday and watch. I couldn't stand it, but I had hot dogs and popcorn and Cracker Jack. Well, that's your connection to the sport, and that is just as important as the person who had season tickets for the past 40 years and hasn't missed a game. And those stories are just as important as the other ones. So that is why the Ticket House is so important to what we do here. It brings all those stories together. Right now, where we're seated is the front office of the Cleveland Baseball Club from 1909 through 1942. So right where we're sitting, contracts were signed, tickets were printed, promotions were printed, all the business was conducted right here. So I feel extremely honored to be, have my desk, a couple feet away, sitting where all that history took place.
Definitely. So give us an overview. So we know that you guys weren't always the Cleveland Guardians. This just happened. So who are you before? Give us a little rundown of what happened here. The Cleveland baseball, of how that all progressed.
Yeah. So overall, it's the Cleveland's baseball team is the Cleveland Baseball Club. They've had multiple names leading up until a couple years ago. The Spiders, the Blues, the Naps, the Indians, and then the Guardians. The transformation of the name is something that was a big challenge for a lot of people in the city, but it is what it is, and change happens.
And the inaugural year was, because Cleveland is one of the oldest baseball clubs in the big leagues.
Yeah.
The inaugural year was in the early 1900s, or does it date back before?
As the Cleveland Indians?
Well, Cleveland, the baseball club.
Yeah, I mean, if you count the Spiders, it's 1891.
Wow.
But the inaugural year here at League Park was 1898. And that park in 1898 was built of strictly from wood. And then in the early 1900s, with the advent of steel and concrete construction, the wood ballpark was torn down, and the League Park of 1909 with steel and concrete construction was erected to be able to house more people.
Yeah.
So back in the day, what did a baseball game here look like? What did you see? What did you feel? Did you have ushers going down? What was the atmosphere here? If you were to go back 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, what was a baseball game here like?
Well, you probably wouldn't see any T-shirts, and nothing. That was probably not a thing. People were dressed in sport coats, jackets, ties, fedoras,
Wow.
smoking cigars in the stands. One thing that doesn't change, though, are the sounds and the smells.
Yeah.
So that's, when you go and you go to your local ballpark, wherever you may live, close your eyes for a second, listen, and take a deep breath. Chances are you're hearing and smelling the same things that they did in the early 1900s and earlier. So those things are also, it's almost like a time machine. You can't fake the smell of a hot dog.
Yeah. That's
And you cannot fake the sound of the crack of a bat or the roar of the crowd. So those things
remain constant over time.
they remain constant.
Yeah.
And so, Ricardo, tell us also about some of the many milestones and the amazing players that have played here and what they accomplished. I'll let you give us some of those details.
Sure. So, the 1920s World Series was won by the Cleveland Indians while they played here at League Park. Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run
It's huge.
out of this park. His 436th home run ball out of this park, which you saw earlier. Joe DiMaggio ended his hitting streak here at League Park. He got his last hit here, and then that following weekend, or that same weekend, he went down to Municipal Stadium, and that's where he did not get the hit.
I know you mentioned, just a quick story on that, you mentioned that they played the bigger series and weekend series over at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Also, they had lights there. This park did not have lights. As a matter of fact, they're going to get lights soon. You can share more on that in a moment. But amazing how DiMaggio's last hit took place on these grounds, and I think we can agree that record is likely not to ever be broken.
Yeah.
I
That is debatable. The interesting thing is that streak ended against the same team, the same city, different ballparks.
Incredible.
So that's incredible. That probably will never
happen again. Yes.
Now, we know that obviously as time progresses, things don't always last, right? So we've had the Great Depression, we've had race riots, we've had COVID. How has this place been able to survive throughout all of the different challenges that this country had to face throughout the last 100 years?
How did this park?
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for our local councilwoman, Fannie Lewis, this place would probably be a bunch of condos right now.
Wow.
So in the early 2000s, she saw the value of what remained of League Park, the ticket house, the wall. There were some stands. And for safety reasons, the city started tearing down certain parts of the park. We still have the original wall and ticket house, but she saw the value, the historical value of what happened here, and made it her own personal mission to raise the $7 million it took to renovate this place and keep it going. That is why this place is here. We're here because the ticket house is the perfect place for the Baseball Heritage Museum.
Yeah.
You asked what also happened here. I would be remiss if I did not mention the 1945 Negro League World Championships were won by the Cleveland Buckeyes right here on the field. And we're going to be celebrating the 70-year anniversary in 2025 coming up. So we start our celebration next year in September. They won it in September 5th, I believe it is, 1945. So we're going to have a great year-long celebration.
It's fantastic. And also, I love the fact that the field dimensions are exactly the same.
That's wild.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're going to walk out. We haven't done it yet, but we can see it from a distance. But when we walk out to that field, we're going to put a little catch. I'm not sure if you can join us, but maybe afterwards. But we're standing on the same mound, the same base, the same everything's exactly where those players played during that time.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So when what I tell people is when you come here, you can come here too. 6601 Lexington Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. You can stand on home plate, the very same place where Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run. You can stand on the pitching mound
Cy Young.
where Cy Young pitched. Joe DiMaggio, all the greats played here, and you can stand exactly where they stood on the field.
Now, if family comes to visit, say they come from Miami, what should they expect? How much time should they give themselves here? What should they give us an overview of what to expect when they come here to visit?
Yeah, I always tell people, anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. Depends how you engage with the artifacts, the exhibits, the field. Our docents are top notch, so they are full of information and are always happy to, personalize your experience here at League Park. If you want to know more about the Negro Leagues or the Cleveland Baseball Club or Hispanic, Latino, Caribbean Island baseball players, they are all very knowledgeable, and they will gladly indulge you in whatever your interests are. So, on average, 45 minutes to an hour. If you want to have a catch while they're, if there's nothing going on in the field, it's always encouraged to go out there and make your own memories here at League Park.
Okay, and I know I have one more question.
Yeah,
Brendan.
I know you are a Guardians fan,
Yeah.
and going back to the name change that just recently took place, how do the Clevelanders feel about that? I know there's a lot of controversy of it. I would add my personal opinion if I could first. I feel that so long as the way I saw it, it was an honor, and we try to honor that tradition and really recognize in a nice way, not in a derogatory way. The name obviously carried several decades of time with it. And so how was that adjustment? And for you as a fan, how did you take that, and how are other Clevelanders feeling about that name change?
Well, even though I am a lifelong Clevelander, I cannot speak for the entire Cleveland fan base. With that said, the museum is excited, and we're in a good position to keep telling the story of the Cleveland Baseball Club. This is not an end of anything. This is a continuation of the Cleveland Baseball Club's story. And as a museum, we are stewards of that story and that baseball history. So, we're looking forward to how that story develops, and how, as a museum that is in charge of carrying on that story, how we can best tell it.
Beautiful.
Perfectly said. For us, the Marlins obviously faced at that time named Indians in the 1997 World Series. I won't mention who won. I know it's still a sore spot. Jose Mesa. But you want to. Sorry.
Too soon.
Too soon. 25 years later. But no, so it's obviously part of the history, and that's something that, as you said, you carry the tradition, and you it's important. I did want to ask you, since we have some Miami viewers, we're a Miami-based show. Josh Bell recently traded to our hometown Miami Marlins.
We're excited.
He was in the division formerly with the Nationals, spent some time with the Pirates, and with San Diego most recently, but he's been here up until the trade. What's a little scouting report on Josh Bell? We know he has a lot of power. What kind of insight can you give us to?
Signed for 2 years, right? Yeah.
He's on the books for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll say the Guardians got the better end of the deal.
Typical Marlin trade.
That's right. He, from what I can tell, he hasn't lived up to his contract. So, yeah, that's it. He's a very nice guy. I love his book club that he ran. That's fantastic.
A
Way
book club.
Yeah, he had a book club, not
Oh.
here, but prior to being in Cleveland, he had a book club, which I thought was fantastic.
Interesting.
A way to do his personal outreach to,
Okay.
to local youth. And I actually have it on my list of things to do is contact Josh Bell about creating a book club here in Cleveland. Didn't get to that.
Well, we could follow that
Yeah,
up. with
very
you.
Yes.
yeah. And I would love to be part of that if you ever do
Yeah.
get in touch. But yeah, I'm sure he's a super nice guy. I met him at the Guards Fest, which is our annual Cleveland Guardians fan fest.
Oh, nice.
And the guy is huge and
Big guy. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing him when we return back to Miami. We are going to Progressive Field tomorrow. I have been previously. Ashley has not, so I know she's in for a treat because for my money, it's one of the best ballparks out there.
No, don't lie. You're only go for $1 hot dogs.
It is $1 hot dog and
Fireworks,
$2
we get a
beer.
T-shirt and everything.
$1 hot dog, $2 beers, free T-shirt, and rock and blast.
Yep.
I mean,
This is
We're in for a
amazing.
treat tomorrow, but
Yeah.
we're in for a treat being here right now. Ricardo, we can't thank you enough for having us.
Yeah.
Once again, if you could tell the viewers out there how they can reach you or the website, we're going to do our end to edit it and promote it as best as we can. But
Yeah, sure. BaseballHeritageMuseum.org. You can find everything you need on there. We have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 6601 Lexington Avenue. We're open Thursday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3. Ricardo Rodriguez, Museum Director. Ricardo at BaseballHeritageMuseum.org. If you have any questions, that's my direct email. Love to hear from you.
Perfect.
absolutely.
Well, we appreciate it. We want to go check out more of the museum, throw the ball around. So we appreciate you allowing to come here during NFL Hall of Fame weekend too. I mean,
Yes.
this is baseball and football. I think this is
This
everything.
is amazing.
And the weather's nice too.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So, Ricardo, we talked earlier about the '97 World Series, the Marlins versus the Indians, and those Indian ball clubs were loaded. 2 World Series. Unfortunately, didn't get either one. Once against the Braves and one against the Marlins. But incredible teams. Talk about your time watching that team and the great players on that team.
Yeah, that time was in the formative years of my baseball fandom. I was in just graduating high school in 1996, so I have a lot of fond memories of going and watching those games with my friends and watching these exceptional players do incredible athletic feats on the field. Omar and all his fantastic catches,
Wizard.
and all the things associated with Albert Bell. I mean, he was a character to say the least. Manny being Manny. I mean, that's classic.
That started
right?
in Cleveland.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have,
that is true.
yeah. That started right here. So yeah, I have a lot of great memories associated with that era. Despite the outcome, it still was very fun, and I can only hope that my 2 boys have experiences with the Cleveland Guardians, in their future.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like the game of baseball to connect fathers and sons and fathers and daughters. Everything. It's a beautiful game to pass on that tradition. And yeah, those teams. A couple guys you didn't mention. Matt Williams was on the team. Obviously Manny Ramirez, solid pitching. Tony Fernandez, I believe.
Or
was-
Hershiser.
Hershiser
Yeah.
was on there. So, and Mike Hargrove, the manager. Those games, of course, took place at Jacobs Field before it's named now Progressive. You also mentioned that you saw some games over at the old Municipal Stadium.
Yeah.
How was that? That was a round stadium, right? And-
Yeah, it was Round Stadium right on the lake. That's where the current Cleveland Brown Stadium is right now. And I mean, it was drastically different. It almost looked archaic, with
Oh
almost of the Soviet era, concrete and steel.
Oh my
and
goodness.
very, very unwelcoming. But people still talk about that being one of their best ballpark experiences. I was only able to see 1 Cleveland Indians game at Municipal Stadium and 2 Browns games. One of the things that people still talk about are the infamous trough urinals in the men's bathroom.
Oh.
And I can get it's a whole other
That's a whole other show.
It's a whole other show.
Wrigley
But
thing. The Wrigley thing that
They're
I
at
did
Wrigley.
too.
I think the troughs are still prominent in Wrigley Field. So
First time
You
I've ever went to a men's bathroom to take a peek. Wrigley also has them.
yeah, the trough.
during
Yeah.
the tour, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you did mention I did torture you with the '97 World Series, so I'll give it back my way. Cleveland Municipal Stadium was, this is the Miami show, we cover the Dolphins heavy, was one of the bad moments in Miami history. Dan Marino blew out his Achilles tendon in Cleveland Municipal Stadium against the Browns. He was lost for that 93 season. The teams had a lot of aspirations that year, and that obviously ended that.
Let's
So
stop it.
I'll give you one of
Well,
those.
here, we'll turn it back to baseball. That could have been because Municipal Stadium was a mixed-use facility. It housed the Indians and the Browns. So he could have very well blew that Achilles because of the way the field was kept for both games. So we don't know.
Yep, that's true. So, but no, great time reminiscing about those amazing Cleveland teams in the mid to late 90s, and hopefully for your sake, coming back up here. I mean, they're still in the race here in Central. So
can we just the Marlins are finally having a good year? Can we just take this year, the next year we can wish other teams well?
okay,
We're doing well.
Sounds like a plan.
We can have it next year. Let us try to get it this year.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Okay. Good. I think that did that. Yeah.